Blessing Hayes, a stunning young woman whose beauty and kind heart captivate a young billionaire businessman, Christopher Grant. But her life takes a dark turn when her jealous stepmother, Veronica Hayes, and stepsister, Diana, conspire to ruin her life and steal her chance and happiness. Before you continue, Luxury Stories is where stories come alive. If you love powerful narratives that inspire, entertain, and captivate, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of the magic. And don't forget to like this video and share it with friends who love great stories just as much as you do. Let's dive into today's tale. Blessing Hayes lived in a modest but clean house on the outskirts of the city. The house, though simple, had an air of neglect, the paint peeling from the walls, the garden overrun with weeds. Blessing spent most of her days maintaining the house while enduring the harsh treatment of her stepmother Veronica and stepsister Diana. It was a warm afternoon, and Blessing was in the kitchen scrubbing pots when Veronica's sharp voice sliced through the air. "Blessing, where's the tea I asked for? Must I remind you every single time? You're as useless as your late mother." Blessing clenched her fists but bit her tongue. She had learned not to respond, knowing it would only provoke more abuse. "I'm making it, Ma. I'll bring it right away." Diana, sneering as she entered the kitchen. "Look at you, sweating like a common maid. Are you sure you're even fit to be seen in public? Maybe we should keep you locked in here. Nobody wants to see your face." Blessing ignored her stepsister's taunts and focused on her work. Inside, she dreamed of a life far away from the torment she endured daily. Little did she know that fate had something extraordinary in store for her. That weekend, Blessing was tasked with accompanying Diana to a high-profile charity gala. Diana, who relished in flaunting her beauty and connections, insisted that Blessing come along, not to enjoy the event, but to carry her bags and act as her assistant. Blessing wore a simple white dress, one of the few nice things her late mother had left her. Despite its age, the dress accentuated her natural beauty, and as she stepped into the grand ballroom, heads turned. Unaware of the attention she was drawing, Blessing stayed in the background, watching Diana mingle with the wealthy guests. At the center of the room stood Christopher Grant, a young billionaire known for his philanthropic efforts. Tall, with sharp features and an easy charm, he exuded confidence. He was talking to a group of business executives when his eyes landed on Blessing. She was standing by a pillar, her elegance unassuming, yet captivating. Christopher excused himself and walked toward her. "Hello there. I don't think we've met. I'm Christopher Grant." Blessing looked up, startled. She hadn't expected anyone, let alone the host of the event, to speak to her. "Good evening, sir. I'm Blessing Hayes. I'm just here to help my sister." Christopher tilted his head, noticing her modest demeanor. "Just helping your sister? Well, I think you're stealing the spotlight without even trying. Would you care to join me for a drink?" Before Blessing could respond, Diana appeared, her eyes blazing with jealousy. "Mr. Grant, what a surprise. I didn't know you'd be speaking to my sister. She's not very social, you know. I'm Diana Hayes. We met at the fashion show last month." Christopher acknowledged Diana politely but kept his focus on Blessing. "The invitation stands. If you'd like, I'll be by the bar." With that, he walked away, leaving Diana fuming. Diana, hissing to Blessing, "What do you think you're doing? Don't embarrass me." Blessing, "I wasn't doing anything. He spoke to me." Diana, "Well, stay away from him. He's way out of your league." Blessing nodded silently, though her heart was racing. For the first time, someone had seen her, not as an assistant or a shadow, but as an individual. Over the following weeks, Christopher found ways to see Blessing. He arranged casual meetings under the guise of charity work, learning more about her kind heart and resilience. Despite her modest upbringing, Blessing carried herself with grace, and Christopher admired her humility. One evening, Christopher invited Blessing to dinner at a quiet restaurant. It was their first private meeting, and Blessing was nervous. "Blessing, looking around, are you sure I'm dressed appropriately? This place seems expensive." Christopher, smiling, "You look perfect, Blessing. I'm just glad you're here." As the evening progressed, They talked about their lives. Blessing shared stories of her late mother and her struggles living with Veronica and Diana, though she avoided dwelling on the cruelty she faced. Christopher, you've been through so much, yet you're still so kind. It's rare to meet someone like you. Blessing, blushing. I just try to do what's right. But enough about me. Tell me about your work. It must be exciting to help so many people. Christopher was struck by how genuine Blessing was. Unlike the women he usually encountered, she wasn't interested in his wealth or status. By the end of the night, he was certain Blessing was the woman he wanted to marry. One afternoon, Christopher arrived at Blessing's house to formally introduce himself to her family. Veronica and Diana were delighted to meet a billionaire, though their smiles masked their true feelings. As Christopher spoke about his plans to marry Blessing, Veronica's eyes darkened with greed. That night, after Christopher left, Veronica gathered Diana in the living room. Veronica, whispering, "We can't let this happen. That man should marry you, Diana, not Blessing." Diana, frustrated. "How? He barely notices me. He's always looking at her." Veronica, "Then we'll make sure he doesn't. If he sees her as damaged, he'll have no choice but to move on. And when he does, you'll be there to comfort him." Diana, hesitant. "Damaged? What are you talking about?" Veronica, leaning closer. "Leave that to me. Just make sure you're ready to act when the time comes." Diana nodded, though a flicker of doubt crossed her face. Veronica, however, was resolute. She had sacrificed too much to let an opportunity like this slip away. The next day, Veronica's demeanor toward Blessing was unusually kind. "Veronica, Blessing, my dear, why don't you take the day off from chores? You've been working so hard lately." Blessing was surprised but grateful. "Thank you, Ma. That's very kind of you." As Blessing sat in the living room, sipping tea, Veronica quietly prepared for her sinister plan. She boiled a pot of water in the kitchen, her hands trembling slightly. Meanwhile, Diana paced upstairs, her nerves getting the better of her. "This is going too far. Maybe we should just let her be." But Veronica's voice echoed in her mind. "Do you want to live in poverty forever? This is your chance to secure your future." As the water reached a rolling boil, Veronica called out to Blessing. "Veronica, sweetly. Blessing, could you come help me in the kitchen for a moment?" Unsuspecting, Blessing rose from her seat and walked toward the kitchen, a soft smile on her face. The kitchen was unusually quiet that evening. Veronica stood at the stove, her hand tightly gripping the handle of a pot filled with boiling water. Her heart pounded in her chest as steam rose, clouding the dimly lit room. She could hear Blessing humming softly in the living room, completely unaware of the storm brewing just a few steps away. Veronica, muttering to herself, "This is for Diana, for us. That girl thinks she can take everything, but not this time." Her face twisted with determination as she called out, "Blessing, come here, my dear. I need your help with something." Blessing, ever the obedient daughter, rose from her seat. She walked toward the kitchen, her simple white dress swaying gently. She had no idea that her life was about to change forever. "Yes, Ma? What do you need?" Veronica turned, her smile cold and forced. "Could you just check this pot for me? I think there's something stuck at the bottom." Blessing leaned over the stove, peering into the bubbling water. In an instant, Veronica seized the pot and flung the scalding liquid onto Blessing's face and chest. The scream that followed was blood-curdling. Blessing collapsed to the floor, clutching her face as the boiling water seared her skin. The pain was unbearable, like fire consuming her body. "Why? Ma, why? What did I do?" Veronica dropped the pot, her breathing heavy. For a moment, she stood frozen, staring at the writhing figure on the floor. Then she stepped back, her voice cold and emotionless. "You'll understand one day. You brought this on yourself." In the house next door, Margaret, a kind-hearted widow in her 50s, had just finished her evening prayers when she heard the scream. It was so loud and filled with agony that she immediately rushed to her window. Peering through the curtains, she saw smoke like steam rising from Veronica's kitchen and Blessing's faint cries. Margaret didn't think twice. She grabbed a shawl and ran out of her house, knocking urgently on Veronica's door. "Margaret, shouting, "Veronica, what's going on in there? Open the door." Inside, Veronica was panicking. She hadn't planned this far ahead. As she hesitated, Margaret pushed the door open and stormed in. What she saw stopped her in her tracks. Blessing was on the floor, her face red and blistered, her chest heaving as she gasped for air. Margaret, horrified. "Blessing! Oh my God, what happened to her?" Veronica stammered, trying to find an excuse. Veronica, coldly. It was an accident. She wasn't careful in the kitchen." Margaret wasn't convinced. Her eyes narrowed as she stepped closer to Blessing, gently kneeling beside her. Margaret, whispering to Blessing, "Don't worry, my dear. I'll help you." She turned to Veronica, her voice firm. "Margaret, I'm taking her with me. She needs a hospital." Veronica, snapping, "She'll be fine. It's not that bad." Margaret, cutting her off. "Not that bad? Look at her. You'd better not stop me." Veronica hesitated, her mind racing. If she protested too much, it would look suspicious. Reluctantly, she stepped aside. Margaret wrapped a blanket around Blessing and carefully helped her to her feet. As they stepped out into the night, Blessing clung weakly to Margaret, tears streaming down her swollen face. Blessing, whispering, "Thank you, Auntie, but she'll come after me." "Margaret, let her try. You're safe with me now." Margaret led Blessing to her car and drove through the quiet streets to a small clinic she knew on the outskirts of town. The clinic wasn't fancy, but the staff were kind and discreet. When they arrived at the clinic, the doctor on duty, Dr. Adebayo, immediately assessed Blessing's injuries. He frowned as he examined her burns. Dr. Adebayo, calmly, "These are serious second-degree burns. She'll need proper care to avoid infection." "What happened to her?" Margaret glanced at Blessing, who was too weak to speak. Margaret, firmly, "An accident. But please, just help her. She has no one else." Dr. Adebayo nodded, his voice gentle. "Dr. Adebayo, don't worry. We'll do everything we can." Blessing was placed on a bed, and the nurses began cleaning her wounds. The pain was excruciating, but Blessing bit her lip, refusing to cry out. Margaret stayed by her side, holding her hand. Margaret, whispering, "You're going to be okay, my dear. Just rest now." Blessing closed her eyes, her mind clouded with pain and confusion. How had her life come to this? What had she done to deserve such cruelty? The next morning, Veronica sat in the living room, her hands trembling as she sipped her tea. Diana paced back and forth, her face pale. Diana, angrily, "Where is she, Mama? What if someone finds her and she talks? We'll be ruined." Veronica, snapping, "Keep your voice down. Nobody will believe her. I told Margaret it was an accident." Diana, "And what if Margaret tells someone? What if she took Blessing to the police?" Veronica's eyes narrowed. She hadn't considered that possibility. Veronica, "Then we'll deal with it. For now, we need to find her. Go check with the neighbors and see if anyone's seen her." Diana nodded reluctantly and left the house. Veronica sat back, her mind racing. She had expected Blessing to suffer quietly, not vanish without a trace. Diana knocked on doors around the neighborhood, putting on a worried act. "Diana," to a neighbor, "Have you seen Blessing? She went out last night and hasn't come back. We're so worried." The neighbor shook her head. "Neighbor, no, I haven't. But if I do, I'll let you know." Frustrated, Diana returned home to report her failure. "Diana, no one's seen her. She's disappeared." Veronica clenched her fists, her calm facade cracking. "Veronica, she can't have gone far. We'll keep looking. And if anyone asks, you stick to the story. It was an accident." As the day stretched on, their search proved fruitless. Veronica's fear grew with every passing hour. Somewhere out there, Blessing was alive, and she might expose them. It had been 5 days since Margaret had rescued Blessing from her stepmother's cruelty. Blessing was still weak, confined to the clinic, where the staff did their best to care for her burns. Margaret stayed by her side, visiting daily to ensure she felt supported. However, Margaret's heart ached each time she saw Blessing's bandaged face and the tears that occasionally rolled down her cheeks. Blessing rarely spoke, retreating into herself as she tried to process what had happened. On this particular day, Margaret decided to visit the market. As she walked along the busy roadside, the roar of an engine caught her attention. She turned to see a sleek, black luxury car approaching, a car she had seen before. Her heart skipped a beat. She recognized it instantly. It was Christopher Grant's car. Margaret's pulse quickened as she stepped into the middle of the road, waving her hands to flag him down. The car screeched to a halt, and the tinted window rolled down to reveal Christopher's puzzled face. Christopher, frowning. "Madam, is something wrong? Do you need help?" Margaret took a deep breath, her voice steady but urgent. "Margaret." "Yes, Mr. Grant. It's about Blessing. I need to speak with you. It's important." Christopher's expression changed immediately, concern flooding his eyes. "Christopher. Blessing? What about her? Is she okay?" Margaret shook her head, her voice trembling now. "Margaret. No, sir. She's not okay. Something terrible has happened. Please, park your car, and I'll explain everything." Without hesitation, Christopher pulled over to the side of the road. He stepped out, his towering frame imposing yet filled with worry. "Christopher, tell me everything. Where is she?" Margaret took a moment to compose herself before speaking. "Margaret. Her stepmother, Veronica. She hurt Blessing. Poured boiling water on her. Blessing is badly burned, sir. I found her and took her to a small clinic to keep her safe. Veronica doesn't know where she is." Christopher's jaw tightened, his fists clenching as anger flickered across his face. Christopher, gritting his teeth. "She did what? That woman. How could she do this to Blessing?" Margaret placed a calming hand on his arm. "Margaret, Blessing needs you, sir. She's been asking for you, but she's afraid you won't love her anymore because of her injuries. I promised her that wasn't true, but you need to show her yourself." Christopher's eyes softened as he looked at Margaret, his resolve firm. "Christopher, take me to her. Right now." The clinic was quiet, its humble walls a stark contrast to the luxury Christopher was accustomed to. As he stepped inside, the antiseptic smell hit him, and his heart pounded harder. Margaret led him down a narrow hallway to Blessing's room. "Margaret," softly. "She's resting now, but you can go in. Please, be gentle with her. She's very fragile." Christopher nodded, pushing the door open slowly. Inside, Blessing lay on the small bed, her face partially covered in bandages. Her arms rested limply by her sides, her breaths shallow. She looked smaller, weaker, a shadow of the vibrant woman he had fallen in love with. "Christopher," softly. "Blessing." Her eyes fluttered open at the sound of his voice. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming, but when she saw him standing there, tears welled up in her eyes. "Christopher, is it really you?" He moved closer, kneeling by her bedside and taking her hand in his. "Christopher, it's me, Blessing. I'm here now. I'm so sorry I wasn't there to protect you." Blessing turned her face away, her voice trembling. "You shouldn't have come. I'm not the same anymore. I'm not beautiful like I was." Christopher gently cupped her uninjured hand, his voice firm yet tender. "Don't say that. You're still the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Your heart, your strength. Those are the things I love about you. Nothing can change that." Tears streamed down Blessing's cheeks as she looked back at him. "But my face, my body, it's ruined." Christopher leaned closer, his eyes locking with hers. "Blessing, listen to me. You are not ruined. You are still you. And I love you more than ever. I'm not going anywhere." Blessing broke into quiet sobs, her body trembling as Christopher held her hand tightly. For the first time since the attack, she felt a glimmer of hope. After a long conversation with the doctor, Christopher made a decision. He wouldn't allow Blessing to stay in such a small facility where her care was limited. He immediately arranged for an ambulance to transfer her to the city's top private hospital. As the paramedics prepared Blessing for transport, she looked at Christopher, worry etched on her face. "Christopher, this is too much. I can't let you spend so much money on me." Christopher smiled gently, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. "Blessing, don't think about the money. I'd give everything I have to see you happy and healthy again." Just focus on getting better. Margaret, who had been watching from the corner, wiped a tear from her eye. She's lucky to have you, Mr. Grant, and you're lucky to have her. Christopher nodded, his gaze never leaving Blessing. I know. I'll never let anything happen to her again. The ambulance ride was quiet, with Christopher holding Blessing's hand the entire time. When they arrived at the hospital, a team of specialists was already waiting. They whisked Blessing into a private room, where advanced treatments began immediately. Over the next few days, Blessing's condition began to improve. Though her physical pain was still intense, the knowledge that Christopher was by her side gave her the strength to fight. He visited her every day, bringing her favorite books, flowers, and small gifts to cheer her up. One evening, as the sun set and painted the room in hues of orange and pink, Christopher sat by Blessing's bed. He held her hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles on her palm. Blessing, I've been thinking about something. Blessing, curious. What is it? I don't want to wait any longer. I want us to move forward with our plans, our life together. Blessing's eyes widened, disbelief washing over her. But Christopher, look at me. I'm not the same woman you wanted to marry. How can you still? He interrupted her, his voice steady and full of conviction. Blessing, I fell in love with your soul, your kindness, and your strength. Those things haven't changed. I don't care about scars or what other people think. I just want you by my side for the rest of my life. Tears welled up in Blessing's eyes as she gripped his hand tightly. Christopher, I don't deserve you, but thank you. Thank you for not giving up on me. Christopher leaned forward and kissed her forehead gently. I'll never give up on you, Blessing. You're my everything. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Blessing felt a sense of peace she hadn't felt in weeks. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe that love and happiness were still possible. It had been 2 months since the attack, and Blessing had made significant progress in her recovery. Though her scars were still visible, her strength and confidence had returned. With Christopher by her side, she had found the courage to confront the pain of her past. She knew it was time to seek justice for what Veronica and Diana had done. The morning was crisp and clear as Blessing, Christopher, Margaret, and 2 police officers arrived at Veronica's house. The neighborhood was quiet, but a few curious eyes peeked out from behind curtains as the group approached. Christopher, dressed in a tailored suit, radiated authority, while Blessing held her head high, her calm demeanor masking the storm of emotions within her. Christopher knocked firmly on the door. After a moment, Veronica opened it, her face registering shock at the sight of Blessing and the officers. "B. Blessing? What are you doing here?" Diana appeared behind her mother, her expression shifting from surprise to fear as she saw the officers. "Why are the police here? Mama, what's going on?" Blessing stepped forward, her voice steady but filled with resolve. "You know why we're here. You thought you could hurt me and get away with it. But today, you'll face the consequences of your actions." Veronica's face twisted with anger, though her voice wavered. "Consequences? What nonsense are you talking about? It was an accident. You were careless in the kitchen." Christopher stepped in, his tone sharp. "Don't lie, Mrs. Hayes. Margaret witnessed your behavior, and Blessing has no reason to make this up. The evidence speaks for itself." Margaret, standing beside Blessing, crossed her arms and glared at Veronica. "I saw what you did to her. You poured that boiling water deliberately, and we all know it." The police officer took a step forward, his voice firm. "Mrs. Veronica Hayes and Miss Diana Hayes, you are under arrest for assault and attempted murder. You have the right to remain silent." "Mama, do something. This can't be happening." Veronica tried to push past the officers, her voice shrill. "This is a misunderstanding. Blessing, tell them. We're family." Blessing held her ground, her voice calm but unyielding. "Family doesn't do what you did to me. You tried to destroy me out of greed and jealousy. I trusted you, and you betrayed me. Now you'll answer for your actions." As the officers handcuffed Veronica and Diana, the neighbors began gathering outside, murmuring in disbelief. Veronica's once proud demeanor crumbled as she realized her reputation was in ruins. "Did you hear that? She attacked her own stepdaughter? A neighbor says. I always knew there was something off about her. Serves her right. Another neighbor speaks up. As Veronica and Diana were led to the police car, Diana turned to Blessing, tears streaming down her face. Blessing, please. Don't let them take us. We didn't mean to hurt you. Blessing said nothing, her gaze unwavering as the car drove away. Days later, Veronica and Diana sat in the small, dingy cell they now called home. Their glamorous lives had evaporated overnight, replaced by humiliation and discomfort. Veronica's once styled hair was now unkempt, and Diana's manicured nails were chipped and dirty. The reality of their situation weighed heavily on them. Diana, whispering, "Mama, what are we going to do? I can't stay here. I can't live like this." Veronica sighed, her shoulders slumping. "I don't know. Maybe we should ask for Blessing's forgiveness. It's the only way we might get out of this." Diana hesitated, her pride battling with her desperation. "You think she'll forgive us? After what we did?" Veronica closed her eyes, shame washing over her. "I don't know, but we have to try." The next morning, when Christopher and Blessing arrived at the station to provide statements, the officer in charge informed them that Veronica and Diana wanted to see Blessing. "They're asking for your forgiveness. Do you want to speak with them?" Blessing exchanged a glance with Christopher. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You don't have to do this, Blessing. They don't deserve your time." Blessing thought for a moment before nodding. "I'll speak to them, not for their sake, but for mine." The officer led her to the visitation room, where Veronica and Diana sat behind a glass partition. When they saw Blessing, their faces lit up with a mixture of hope and guilt. Veronica, tearfully, "Blessing, my child, thank you for coming. We've made terrible mistakes. I was wrong, and I'm so sorry for what I did to you. Please forgive me." Diana chimed in, her voice cracking. "Blessing, I was jealous. I let my pride and greed blind me. I regret everything. Please don't leave us like this." Blessing looked at them, her expression unreadable. For a long moment, she said nothing, letting their words sink in. Then, she spoke, her voice soft yet firm. "Blessing, I've thought about this moment for a long time. I wanted to hate you. I wanted you to suffer the way I did. But I've realized that holding on to anger will only hurt me more." Veronica and Diana leaned forward, hope flickering in their eyes. "Blessing, I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace." Tears streamed down their faces as they clasped their hands together in gratitude. Veronica, sobbing, "Blessing, thank you. Thank you so much." But Blessing wasn't finished. Her voice hardened slightly as she continued. "However, forgiveness doesn't mean I will allow you back into my life. This is the last time you'll hear from me. I've moved on, and you should too." Diana tried to protest, but Blessing stood, signaling the end of the conversation. "I hope you learn from this and become better people. Goodbye." As she walked out of the room, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Christopher was waiting for her outside, his eyes filled with admiration. "You're incredible, Blessing. Not many people would have the strength to do what you just did." She smiled, a quiet confidence radiating from her. "It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Now, I can finally let go." In the weeks that followed, Veronica and Diana were released from prison, their reputations in shambles. No one in the community would speak to them, and they struggled to rebuild their lives. The luxurious lifestyle they once enjoyed was replaced by isolation and hardship. Meanwhile, Blessing's life blossomed. She and Christopher continued planning their future, focusing on their shared dream of building a foundation to help victims of domestic violence. Margaret became a trusted friend and ally, her unwavering support a constant reminder of the power of kindness. One evening, as Blessing and Christopher sat on the balcony of his home, watching the sunset, she turned to him with a smile. "Blessing, thank you for standing by me, Christopher. I couldn't have done this without you." He took her hand in his voice warm. "I told you before, Blessing, I'm not going anywhere. You're my everything." As the sun dipped below the horizon, Blessing felt a profound sense of peace. Despite everything she had endured, she had emerged stronger, her scars a testament to her resilience. Justice had been served, and love had prevailed. The air was filled with the sweet scent of roses, and the soft hum of violins floated through the grand hall as guests gathered to celebrate the union of Christopher and Blessing. The venue was a vision of elegance. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light on the marble floors, while fresh flowers adorned every corner, creating an atmosphere of love and hope. Blessing stood in a quiet room, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her dress was a masterpiece of simplicity and grace, an off-white satin gown with intricate beadwork that shimmered as she moved. Her face, now healed, bore faint scars that she no longer tried to hide. They were a part of her story, and she wore them with pride. Margaret entered the room, her eyes welling with tears as she took in the sight of Blessing. Margaret, smiling. "You look like a queen, my dear. Your mother would be so proud of you." Blessing turned, her eyes glistening with emotion. "Thank you, Auntie Margaret. I couldn't have made it here without you." Margaret embraced her tightly. "It was all you, Blessing. Your strength, your kindness, they brought you here." A knock at the door interrupted them, and Christopher's sister, Linda, peeked in. "It's time. Are you ready?" Blessing took a deep breath, smoothing her gown. "Yes, I'm ready." The ceremony was breathtaking. As Blessing walked down the aisle on Margaret's arm, the room fell silent. All eyes were on her, but her gaze was fixed on Christopher, who stood at the altar waiting for her. He looked dashing in a tailored black tuxedo, his smile wide and full of love. When Blessing reached him, Christopher whispered softly so only she could hear, "You're more beautiful than I ever imagined." The ceremony proceeded with heartfelt vows. When it was Blessing's turn, her voice was steady but emotional. "Christopher, you've shown me a love that I never thought I deserved. You stood by me when I was at my lowest, and you've given me hope for a brighter future. I promise to love and honor you for the rest of my life." The guests erupted in applause as the officiant pronounced them husband and wife. Christopher lifted Blessing's veil and kissed her gently, sealing their love before the world. The reception was a grand affair. Guests danced, laughed, and celebrated the joyous occasion. Blessing and Christopher shared their first dance as husband and wife, moving gracefully across the floor to a romantic melody. The room was filled with cheers and laughter as Christopher twirled Blessing, her gown sparkling under the lights. Margaret clinked her glass, drawing everyone's attention for a toast. To Blessing and Christopher, a couple who remind us all that true love is built on strength, kindness, and trust. May your days be filled with joy, and may your love inspire us all. The crowd erupted in applause, glasses raised high. Blessing glanced at Christopher, her heart full. Blessing, whispering, "I never thought life could be this beautiful. Christopher, you deserve every bit of it. And this is just the beginning." While the wedding was a celebration of love and triumph, Veronica and Diana sat in their cramped one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town. The once proud women had been abandoned by their friends and shunned by the community. Their lavish lifestyle had crumbled, and they now struggled to make ends meet. Veronica stared at a newspaper spread on their rickety table. A photo of Blessing and Christopher graced the front page, their wedding the talk of the town. Veronica, bitterly, "That should have been you, Diana. If you had been smarter, we wouldn't be in this mess." Diana, who was washing dishes in the tiny sink, turned to her mother, her face pale and drawn. "Diana, it's not her fault, Mama. We made our choices. And look where they've brought us." Veronica scowled, tossing the paper aside. "She ruined us, parading around with her scars like she's a hero." Diana sighed, leaning against the counter. "No, Mama, we ruined ourselves. Blessing was innocent, and we let our jealousy destroy her. I see that now, even if you don't." For the first time, Veronica fell silent. The truth of Diana's words settled heavily in the air, though her pride wouldn't let her admit it. Blessing and Christopher spent their honeymoon in a serene coastal town, far from the noise of the city. They walked hand in hand along the beach, the sun setting in vibrant hues of orange and pink. One evening, as they sat by the water, Blessing spoke softly. "I've been thinking about my stepmother and Diana." Christopher frowned, his protective instincts kicking in. "What about them?" "Blessing, I wonder if they'll ever find peace. I forgave them, but I can't help feeling sad for how their lives turned out." Christopher took her hand, his voice gentle. You've done more for them than they ever did for you. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to carry their burdens. You've given them a chance to change. What they do with it is up to them. Blessing nodded, his words sinking in. She realized that her life was no longer defined by their cruelty. She had built a new beginning, surrounded by love and hope. Back in the city, Blessing and Christopher dedicated themselves to their charitable foundation, helping survivors of domestic violence and abuse. Blessing's story became an inspiration to many, her scars a symbol of resilience and strength. One day, Margaret visited their home, a warm smile on her face as she hugged Blessing. You've come so far, my dear. I always knew you were destined for greatness. Blessing smiled, her heart full of gratitude. Thank you, Auntie Margaret. I couldn't have done it without you and Christopher. As she watched Christopher playing with a group of children at a charity event, Blessing reflected on her journey. She had endured pain, betrayal, and loss, but she had emerged stronger, her life filled with purpose and love. The story ended with a message etched in the hearts of everyone who heard it. True beauty lies in character, and love built on integrity cannot be destroyed by malice. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like this video and share it with others who would love it too. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next tale. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next story.